People who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. Words of George Bernard Shaw. James Baldwin went on to say, those who say it can't be done are usually interrupted by others doing it. Oddly enough, those two are both hardcore leftists. In fact, George Bernard Shaw was a socialist, but it's pretty telling as we get into the meat of it, the dichotomy between the two sides as regards what can or cannot be done. I tend to break it down like this. I want you guys to imagine that you've got a squat rack with an immense amount of weight on the bar. My description is that there are basically three types of individuals. You have the overwhelming majority of so called men, what I refer to as manlets, that'll just point at that heavy weight on the bar and say that it can't be done, it can't be moved. And in fact, you're a bad person for even suggesting that they try to move it because it makes them feel insecure that anyone can move the weight. Their strength throws their weakness into starker contrast, and therefore you're a bad person for even suggesting that it could be moved. That's the overwhelming majority of what passes for men these days. Then there's the middle group, the skeptics and the analysts, let's call them. You know, the ones who'll take into account the amount of weight on the bar and then go over the laws of Newtonian physics and, mass times velocity squared and how much muscle mass the person in question who's going to move the weight may or may not be able to move under an ideal set of circumstances. And they'll come to a conclusion that well, yes, technically the weight can be moved or technically the weight can't be moved. And either way, we've really got to do a hell of a lot more study on this before anyone tries to displace that weight. It's best sitting right where it is, right there on the squat rack. And then you've got the third set, the guys who get under it and just move the damn weight. The guys who put in the work, get themselves under that bar, put their asses under that iron, and just make the iron move. They make it happen by sheer force of will. They sacrifice. They pay the price. They endure the aches, the pains, the injuries, and they see the results of the hard work and they just move the bar. And you may be wondering to yourself, why did I put these last three photos in there? And I got to tell you, it's just to remind you guys that Dorian Yates is the greatest damn bodybuilder in the history of the sport, bar none. That's it. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, what can or can't be done. It wasn't that long ago that we were looking at a border that was completely out of control. We're talking a complicated situation that can't possibly be rectified. We need more studies. We need more money. We need a bipartisan bill supported by both sides of the aisle, and we need to take into account reasonable compromises. And then here we are, not so very long afterwards, where this has become this. Totally under control. No storming the fence. No traffic. No fentanyl. No child prostitutes being dragged across the border. Well, wait a minute. We were told that couldn't be done. Not so very long ago, we were told that tariffs would provoke a trade war, was that it was too complex. All these other countries that had tariffs on us, we couldn't respond in kind. We had to keep taking the ass beating. And that NATO, the alliance that won the Cold War for us, that we couldn't ask those countries. It was too complex a situation to ask them to pay the 5% of their GDP that they had promised us for the protection of the United States military. It was just too much, and now here we are, not so far down the line, and we just hit record tariff revenues with no trade war in sight, and the repercussions that we were promised have yet to materialize, and all of our NATO allies have suddenly decided to pony up, contributing not only the 2% that they promised, but some of them up to 5% of their GDP to live under the protective umbrella of the United States military. It wasn't so very long ago that our cities were on fire. And in fact, many of them remain on fire. That crime was totally out of control. Violent crime in particular, criminals walking around with complete impunity. It wasn't so very long ago that we were told we just had to sit by and deal with this kind of unrest. Foreign flags being flown right here in the United States in defiance of everything that the United States taxpayer and the United States electorate had voted for. That we just had to sit back and take it. And yet, not so very down the line, yet we were also told that mass deportations were pie in the sky fantasy, that we could never make that happen. And here we are, not so very far down the line. And because somebody had the balls to get behind Immigration and Customs Enforcement and our Border Patrol, those mass deportations are taking place. And the mere specter of those mass deportations taking place are causing record levels of self-deportation. The problem literally taking care of itself. It took someone with the balls to get behind the men and women of ICE and the men and women of law enforcement, and the balls to do what needed to be done. In a federal protectorate, let's take into account DC is not like other cities. DC is under federal control. There is nothing unconstitutional about what's taking place here. It didn't take violating the Constitution. It just took a set of balls and a spine. And they're being welcomed because everybody there knew that in spite of the gaslighting of the legacy media, in spite of the lies that we were being fed on a day-to-day basis, the problem was just too complex. It was just too difficult to fix. It got fixed. Think back to the weight on that squat rack. What did it take? Not the crybaby saying it couldn't be done. Not the analyst telling us that it could be done theoretically, but it needs much more study and much more effort. No, it took one guy. One spray-tanned guy with a bad comb-over and questionable Twitter skills. Just one guy to find balls and a spine and to do what needed to be done. That's right. You're looking at Donald John Trump, the Dorian Yates of presidents. That's right, Donald John Trump, the superhero coming to save America again. No, guys, come on. Let's not get out of control. Do I really deify the man like that? Of course not. Sometimes you just got to go cartoonish response for cartoonish response. Sometimes you just got to make the factual observation. All it took was a guy with balls and a spine. Now, we can have the debate over methods. What you cannot debate is results. And sometimes unpleasantries are necessary. And after years of watching things fall apart, after years of watching people die of fentanyl overdoses, after years of being treated to the histrionic shrieking of this crowd and the Avon Lady of the Damned and all the specters of lost liberties and creeping fascism, all to sustain the downfall of America, all to sustain the erosion of our very social structures, all because they were benefiting from the stalemate. We're not dealing with rational people here. And when you're not dealing with rational people, you can't act in a rational manner. We're dealing with these folks who have elevated victimhood to a virtue and who have somehow convinced themselves and a disturbing number of the American electorate that this beautiful woman modeling a pair of jeans is tantamount to Nazi propaganda. There's probably not really a good reason to show this graphic. I just thought it was a clever little meme, and I'm probably going to make it the wallpaper for my laptop. I digress. What we have to take into account, boys and girls, is that the measures that are being taken now are necessary because of the measures that weren't taken before. Slippery slope is not a fallacy, particularly when it has historical precedent. Now, that's what we're told by the left when they're talking about the specter of creeping fascism. But we tried to tell them for years that slippery slope was not a fallacy, when they said that open borders were not a big deal, when they said that foreign cultures could be assimilated, even cultures hostile to our own who had vowed to destroy us, that everything would be fine if we just threw more money at it, that everything would be fine if we were just a little more compassionate, and everything would be fine if we just defunded the police, everything would be fine if we just gave it a softer approach. Not only has it not been fine, it has taken us to the brink of total collapse. So the time for half measures is over. I don't begrudge anyone anything as long as they are taking care of the interests of the United States citizens. And I won't apologize for that stance. Let's not forget what happened just last week. Another one of those incompatible cultures. The time for half measures is what got us here. A guy being issued a commercial driver's license that couldn't even read street signs. And this is not an isolated incident, boys and girls. This is reflective of a larger issue across the board. A number of larger issues across the board. We're falling apart if you hadn't taken time to look around. And it's got nothing to do with the orange man with the red tie. He's just the only guy with the balls to call it out. And instead of staring at that weight on the bar saying it either couldn't be moved or we need to theoretically go over a better way to move it, just got his ass under the iron and lifted. I'm cheering him on. If that makes me a bad person, I'll own it. Little light on the horizon here for you, fellas. It's not just here. It's the entire West. You remember a man named Ronald Reagan once told us that we are the final hope. If we fall, it's all gone. But we've kept that open door policy. Let me tell you how the open door policy is working for Europe right now. For all the talk about the orange man and his war on women, let me tell you what a real threat to women is. These wonderful, upstanding third world cultures that we welcome in with open arms, look where it's gone in just 23 years in Europe. Take a look at those numbers. There's one common bind here. Take a good look. See if you notice what it is. That's right, the one down at the bottom. Poland. Their number of rapes actually went down. What's the common ground? They did the thing that was unpleasant. They did the thing that made them bigots and racists and xenophobes. They did the thing that was frowned upon. They did the thing which was necessary. Finally, we've got a leader here in the States that is willing to do what is necessary. And unless and until it does come full circle, you can go ahead and spare me the whole Hitlerian dialectic for all your Handmaid's Tale cosplay with your little red dresses and your cute little hats. Maybe it's a fetish thing for you. I certainly won't begrudge you that. But sorry, ladies, when you can still murder your baby up to the moment of birth in 17 states, and when you can still electively end that pregnancy anytime you want in 47 states, that's not exactly a theocracy, is it? But even if. You guys familiar with Blaise Pascal and Pascal's wager? Reader's Digest version. It's better to act and believe and confess to a God and be wrong than to not believe in God and God actually exist. I saw this tweet and I thought it fit well with the opener, so I saw fit to include it. This is the updated version of Pascal's wager. When you take a look at the people who got us here, all of their sanctimonious, virtuous compassion, how magnanimous they were, and the end result of them being magnanimous, I'm not concerned with your methods, I'm concerned with your results. God may or may not be real, but the other side is so passionate, so committed to worshiping Satan, evil, homosexuality, and corrupting children, that even if God wasn't real, believing in him to fend these demons off is preferable. Paraphrasing that politically, yes, these methods are troubling. Yes, these methods do have a very real risk of going too far. But in the meantime, in between time, if it is saving the life of a single American citizen, if it is making sure that another family doesn't have to die because a compassionate governor saw fit to issue commercial driver's licenses to people who can't read, if it saves a woman from being gang raped by a culture where rape is low where they come from because it's not considered rape, it's just sex. If it saves the life of a single American citizen from dying of a fentanyl overdose, if it pulls a single American child out from being trafficked into child prostitution, I'm willing to let it go a hell of a lot further. Now, that may disturb your delicate libertarian sensibilities, but given the alternative, it is indeed the lesser of two evils, and I'm perfectly willing to embrace it. At the very least, there are questions that need to be asked. Y'all haven't been willing to have that discussion for years, and that's how we got here. So if we've got to force this to get you to the table to talk about it, that is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. What I'm not willing to sacrifice is more lives, more misery, more pain, and ultimately the future of the West. Hyperbolic? You tell me. Only time will tell. The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else is on the planet. Not friends, not foes, not supporters, not detractors, not sponsors, and I cannot stress this enough now that I'm settled in with a new one, certainly not employers. They have been adjudicated thought crime in all jurisdictions. Consider yourself warned. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to stretch open your unwilling maw and choke you with fistful after black latex glove fistful of truth cock until the truth finally sinks in or you choke to death. Either way, mission accomplished. Welcome back, boys and girls. Time once again for the Sunday sermon. New location, new backdrop, new acoustics. Hopefully it's working out. In the meantime, we're going to do a little roll call here. Let's see where the fire is in the building, please. Everybody in for the drum roll. You know the drill. Heart charging out of the starting gate as we come rock and rolling every single Sunday, God willing. The name of the band is Red Desert Gut Stomping Rock and Roll Band. From the smoldering embers and crumbling ruins of the once great American city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. The name of the band is Red Desert. The name of the track is Older, No Wiser. Every week I get a little bit older. Every week you guys get to decide if I've gotten any wiser. Some weeks I do better than others. We'll see how this one works out, man. I'm not making any promises either way. In any case, sorry about the delay, man. I was trying to get this whole thing together and setting up in a new place. Difficulties with technical. Who gives a shit? We're going to roll on, guys. Going to go ahead and jump on in here for the roll call. See which one of the usual suspects showed up first. The divine Miss Emmy, OG Sinner Sister herself. Dropping in, shutting the store down, swinging after. All right, cool, man. Well, she did get the gold medal this week. And, of course, lovely Miss Charlie showing up. Look at that. I hope she made it back in time for the actual start of the show. Brother Joel from the Midwest. Brother Jude from just down the road, not as far, West Texas. What is that? Sweating the iron in the back of the toy hauler. Hey, man, that's a perfectly good way to do it, brother. I hope we can contribute, hopefully, some of that fire and energy right in, especially since we're talking about moving heavy iron. Hey, it worked out, man. All about it. Brother Bill Wade on board. Good to see you, brother. God bless you in every single facet of your existence. Always good to have you on board. And, of course, where would we be without Roman, one of my oldest and dearest friends? Happy you made it out, brother. What do we got? What do we got? Deacon Mark. What is that? Sliding in just before start time. Hopefully sitting on back with Miss Ito on the back porch, indulging in some adult beverages and some smokable consumables. Hopefully, we get to see that. Oh, how about that? Charlie did make it back in time. And of course, where would Roman be without Carrie? Got your text message, forwarded all that, all squared up. Thank you, young lady. Appreciate it and appreciate you guys being here. Love the support, man. Thank you so much for that, man. You guys have always been in my corner. What is that? Listen to Poison talk about. All right, Stevie Nicks will be strong. We'll go over the rock and roll tales later, man. They look like a good old story, man. I have to check in on that. King Dorian, yes, indeed. What is that? Brother Ryan, first of all, glad you made it out. Same guy, collapsed the bridge. He drove over the rig. Yes, because he couldn't read a sign. And a few years back, yes. Kind of familiar with that. It wasn't one of my bullet points, but we're definitely going to be touching on it because it folds into everything, man. Anyway, let me see. What do we got? David made it out. Want to make sure I don't miss anybody. George, man. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Always good to see you on Facebook, too, man. You always manage to have a post. First of all, when you're joking, and that always cracks me up. But usually, man, when you're hitting on some spiritual stuff, you know, Jesus is the only way. I dig it, bro. I dig what you got going on, George, and I'm happy to have you on board. Brother Clem, just stopping by. Hey, man, I'm glad you made it in. Brother, it was so cool sitting and catching up with you the other day. Head is still spinning over a lot of the stuff that we talked about. Whole lot of changes on the horizon, and I'm going to be making everything for my personal fitness regimen. Just some long-term plans down the line, man, but it was really, really good to see you. Whole lot of what-ifs. At this point, you sound like one of them fellas who passed the Patriot Act without reading it, sacrificing all those without essential liberties. Yes, sir. I get it, brother. I get it. We're going to cover all of that good stuff, man. We're going to cover all that good stuff. Screech getting in sideways, brother Wayne Sharp. Yeah, what are they going to do with the habeas corpus part of it? Yes. Yeah, man, brother, we're going to get into all that, man. We're going to get into all that because we are on a delicate edge, man. And you guys know me well enough to know I am small L libertarian minded. But this whole thing has brought out my inner Chuck Bronson. I'm not ready to throw caution to the wind, man. But this is a perfect example since they're always throwing up the Hitler thing. They're always throwing up the German with the funny mustache, trying to figure out how things like that get sorted. This is how it happens because they don't understand the history that Weimar Republic Germany and all the depravity that went before that and the backlash. Now, that's not saying woo-hoo for funny mustache German guy. And I'm sure a lot of people read into that. You know what? Let me get through the roll call and then we will do the deep dive, man, because this has got me fired up, bro. This whole thing has got me fired up. Oh, goodness. All right. Let me take a deep breath. We'll just reset real quick. Go ahead and bring down the bumper music. We'll fade that on out, get a couple of sponsor shout-outs in, and then go ahead and just get into the meat of this thing. Because, yeah, a lot of heavy stuff going on. You can't argue with results. Methods are questionable, and slippery slope is not a fallacy. That slippery slope thing cuts both ways now, doesn't it? Fading it on out. Once again, man, Red Desert, Older, No Wiser. That is the name of the band. That is the name of the track. And, man, they've been cool enough to let us use that as bumper music ever since the earliest days of the sermon over 5 years ago when we started this thing off, and it was just the COVID cast for all intents and purposes. But in any case, yeah. Let me go ahead and fade that on out and get this all switched over. Yes. All right. Cool. It's getting inside. There we go. Bang, bang, bang. All right. Now I think we're back. I think we got everything lined out. Sponsor shout outs really, really quick. First and foremost and above all, one of my oldest and dearest friends, Roman over at opiumtales.com. Don't forget his Substack. Give that to me again, Roman, over here in the comments. Please give me your Substack again because I want to make sure to steer everybody over there, man. He's at opiumtales.com. They are the erotic pinups and portraits people. He's doing beautiful watercolor work of beautiful naked women, and he's got testosterone-driven commentary. On Planet Bart, we call that a trifecta. On other places, they just call it a good Saturday night, I suppose, man. Hey, anyway, what is that? Me Too. I saw Me Too, Ryan. Slippery Slope. What are you at? Yes. Waiting to see who's in. Who's in for what? What did I miss? Anyway, Opium Tales on Substack. And by the way, eventually I'm going to be doing some more entries over on Substack one of the things that I have promised myself, and I'm promising in front of you guys, is to try to actually hone my touch typing skills while I'm out here on the field, while I'm on this gig. Everything needs to be, it's sort of, Clem referred to it as monastic. And one of the things that I want to do, one of the things that I will be doing out here is trying to work on the touch typing skills so I can actually be more productive, right? Because the brain goes a hell of a lot quicker than the hands do. I've never learned to touch type. It takes me hours to put together what some of you guys could do in 20 minutes that know how to touch type. So I need to work that out. In any case, Opium Tales on Substack, opiumtales.com. They are the erotic pinups and portraits people. Don't forget, he's got stuff available on Amazon as well. He's doing short fiction over there under Roman Riva. Find him on Amazon. Roman Riva, he's doing short fiction, and he's got Roman Freely, which is a collection of his watercolor work. You're definitely going to want to check that out. Two Up Bart with Banana Republic, Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. All right. Also, want to give a shout out to my Viking brothers, Casey and Dusty Tellison, Nordic Smoke Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the inland Northwest. Period. Sit down, shut up, you're wrong. They are the only legit barbecue in the inland Northwest, bar none. End of statement, period, done. And the Viking Longship, the smoker trailer, is out sailing the asphalt seas. The season is winding to an end, but we are coming up towards the holiday season. We're only a couple months out. Remember that they are smoking holiday birds as well. They are smoking those holiday birds, man. They have done my holiday bird every year since I have been in the Northwest. That is all the way back to 2013, 2014. So, yeah, man, we're over the 10-year mark that they've been doing the holiday bird, and they're going to be doing it again this year. Check them out. They do catering. It is, dude, the barbecue is incredible. I cannot speak highly enough of this barbecue. And now that Dusty is the primary pitmaster over there, don't forget about my bro Casey. He has gone on to bigger and better things. He is now a practicing attorney in the state of Washington. I've got him on retainer. You probably should too, because at some point we're going to find ourselves in trouble. He is also a phenomenally talented writer. He has a book out. He has a book out called Freaks of a Feather. It is published by Latop Press out of Spokane, Washington, and it is available on Amazon. Freaks of a Feather. It is a combat memoir that began as a suicide note. That should be the header, period. Even on Amazon, I think that should be it. Combat memoir that began as a suicide note. End of statement. I mean, dude, that would get my attention, and it should get your attention. The guy's a phenomenally talented writer, and he will take you on a walk on that little inner landscape. Give it a shot. So check out Roman Freely from Roman Riva on Amazon, and check out Freaks of a Feather from Casey Tellison on Amazon. Take care of the people who are taking care of the show. Take care of the people who are taking care of me. I would be doing this. Let's be honest. I would be doing this as a labor of love. I did, for the first year before I even thought about, passing around the collection plate. It's my therapy. It does me a lot of good. I am out here. You see the background. I'm out here working. So it's not like my livelihood depends on it. Okay. But these folks take care of me. So take care of them. They're kicking down. Give them a read, man. Give them a read. Download some short fiction, man, if that's your thing. But definitely, and like for instance, Red Desert, man, those guys have been cool enough to let me use that. Let me use that track as bumper music, for better than 5 years now. So download some of their music, buy some of their merch. They're cool people, and worth checking out. And for the record, man, I appreciate you guys. I was thinking about that. I was watching this morning. I was watching this morning my home church in Spokane, Washington, On Fire Ministries, and it got to the point, they took communion and everything, and then they're taking up tithes and offerings. And they always, every church does this before they pass around the collection plate. They either quote a scripture verse or this, that, and the other. And it's always, maybe not for y'all, maybe not for other people, but for me, that is always just so uncomfortable, man. It is just, it's really uncomfortable because, they never push, but there's an implied, or inferred maybe guilt kind of cringe behind it. It's like, how much is God worth to you? Kind of thing. And it makes me uncomfortable. Um, I feel the same way when I pass around that collection plate, man. Guys, my life doesn't depend on this. You know what I mean? My livelihood doesn't depend on this. Whether or not you guys kick down something at the end of a sermon is not going to make the difference whether I'm getting my power bill paid or able to eat this week. You know what I mean? I'm working out here, and I've got a good trade, right? So understand that when I ask, right, I, it, I'm just passing around the plate. If you want to, cool. And if you do, know that it means the world to me, man. It really does. I really appreciate it. It's a really cool way of saying, hey, man, you're not a lone voice in the wilderness. You know what I mean? You're not out there with John the Baptist eating locusts and wild honey. You know, what you said meant something to me, touched me somehow, opened my eyes, exposed me to a new thing, whatever. Um, I appreciate every single thing that comes this way, but don't ever feel obligated. If I like need it, I will come on here and go, guys. Here's the deal. If y'all can put together about 5 G's right now, I'm in a buttload of trouble because I did something really stupid. You know what I mean? I would come at it from that. I would come at it from that. So in the meantime, just know that it's never mandatory. It's never demanded, but it's always appreciated. All right, you guys understand? For y'all that do, thank you from my heart, man. Thank you. And maybe one day we get to a point where my life does depend on it. That would be cool to have that kind of reach. You know what I mean? And even if I did get that kind of reach, say I had just a massive audience, it would mean a lot more to me to have 5,000 people kick down $5 than to have one guy kick down 5 grand or 10 grand. You know what I mean? Because for me it's about reaching people. For me it's about knowledge is the coolest gift. It's the greatest gift in the world because it's the only gift that you can give someone that you still hold on to. You understand? I mean, like if I gift you this iPod, right? Like I have an iPod, I gift it to you, right? Now you have an iPod. I've gifted that to you, and I no longer have the iPod. I have the knowledge that is contained on all these college lectures and podcasts and stuff that is in this iPod. I give that to you, and I still have it. It's beautiful, man. Books are like that. Knowledge is like that. You understand? I'm way off topic here, people, but just kind of these are the things that I think about. But I appreciate all y'all just showing up, just being here, man. It lets me know that I may be crazy, but I'm in good company. So thank y'all for that. I appreciate it. All right, man. Let's jump back into this thing, shall we? We'll go and we can go bullet point by bullet point. The bullet point that I was touching on in the opener is when Just Do It goes from a Nike ad to a policy directive. We were told that all these things couldn't be done. All these things are go, oh, we can't do it. We can't do it. Yes, 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 Ryan. Um, we were told these things couldn't be done. He got in and he did it. Right? You have an establishment, and this is Republican and Democrat, right? You have that entrenched ship of state, the deep state types that are hell bent on not solving problems in the same way for the same reason, like in the same reason that the wow, my train of thought just totally derailed. In the same way that the medical priesthood is always about treatment over a cure, right? Because there's no money in a cure. There's only money in a cure once. If you fix the problem, there's only money in that once. So they have a vested interest in pushing toward treatment, right? You can treat it and just keep treating it and treating it and treating it and just push that down the line and just keep making money hand over fist. Government is working exactly like that. You have people who are committed to keeping things just messed up enough that they can keep bleeding that. Their income literally depends on it. Their livelihood literally depends on it. JT, man, glad you made it out, brother. And it was really good catching up with you as well. Um, when your entire livelihood depends on something, why would you try to fix it? All of these solutions are available. They have been forever. And they continue to gaslight us. They continue to say, "Oh well, it's too big a problem. We can't fix it. But we need to, looking at that weight on the squat rack, and they're wanting to be that analyst, right? They know that the majority of the electorate are the whiny little maggots over here going, "Oh no, and that weight is scary. Don't make me move the weight." Those squirrely little bastards will do anything that they're told. They'll believe anything. They will eat anything they're fed. They'll do anything that is imposed upon them. We got to see it over the last 5 years with the whole COVID thing. How many people just fell into line? It was absolutely absurd. Now, keep in mind, these same people who fell into line in that absolutely absurd fashion are the same ones that are telling us that we are, that we're assisting fascism. You know what? They could totally be right. But physician, heal thyself. They won't look. They won't turn that mirror. They won't reflect back on themselves. I'm way off topic. Let me try to stay focused here. They've got a vested interest in not fixing it, and so it doesn't get fixed. Now you got a guy who is about fixing it. He came in and said, "We're going to fix it," and they hate him for it. They hate him for it. Is there a danger in some of these things? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'm willing to take that chance. I am willing to roll the dice. We've all got a firm line on where we come down. They're already up our asses. Where are you gun-toting guys that said if the government ever turned over, you'd be out in the street? The government hadn't turned over yet, brother. I don't know where the hell you're looking, but everything he's doing is in the interest of United States citizens. Now, and it's not inevitable, but it's not impossible. When that gets turned against the American public and against the American electorate, then we're looking at a very, very different situation. But right now, what has he done? What has he done that's not in line with the Constitution? I'll wait. I'll wait. He had the power to unilaterally shut down the border. So did his predecessor. And he didn't do shit. Pardon the language. He didn't do squat. He had 4 years, did nothing, had our tax dollars produce an app to facilitate people to come here illegally. Fake ass asylum seekers. Now, I understand that there are a number of you out there that think of yourselves as upstanding moral citizens and compassionate and all of these things. It's funny watching you guys all of a sudden concerned about due process because there was no due constitutional process with any of these people coming to this country in the first place. All right? Nothing. Y'all left it wide open, and there's nothing compassionate about it. I lost more than one friend to fentanyl. I have lost more than one friend to fentanyl overdoses. Now I understand, buy the ticket, take the ride. But at the end of the day, the closest friend that I lost that died on that fentanyl bought it on the premise that it was hydrocodone. Yeah, those pill presses were sold. Those pill presses were sold to the cartels at cost. So he popped probably three, knowing cost the way that I did. Popped probably three hydrocodone, what he thought were hydrocodone. They were fentanyl, right? That stuff streamed across the border. Nobody did anything to stop it. Don't tell me about compassion. Don't talk to me about compassion. We're done with that. Compassion? Slippery slope? Really? Okay. How about the slippery slope that your compassion brought us? Have we taken a look at the have we taken a look at the murder rate among illegals, right? And of course, everybody would. Well, illegals are far less likely, according to statistics. Let me tell you why that statistic is messed up. Okay, biggest cities in the United States no longer report no longer report their violent crimes to the FBI. Talking about Chicago, talking about Los Angeles, they don't report that to the FBI. And here's the beauty of it: um, the larger urban centers are all blue cities, and most of them sanctuary cities. How does that affect the statistics? In a sanctuary city, you are not allowed to ask their immigration status when you place them under arrest. Not even allowed to ask. So the truth of the matter is, we don't know. We don't know. But again, the same people that gaslit us and told us that Tren de Aragua was not taking over apartment complexes around Denver, Colorado, and Aurora, Colorado, right? Same people. Guess what? The DOJ's in there now, and they're shutting down those apartment complexes. They're shutting them down. They're deporting the people who are holding these people hostage. They are getting in and they are fixing it. And I'm talking about they're not going through the stages of A, it doesn't exist, B, it exists but it's not really a problem, C, well, it exists but it's a good thing, and you're a bigot for opposing it. We are here in this position. I was watching Mark Maron, I guess probably 2 weeks ago now. I was watching Mark Maron, and you guys probably saw the post that I made about it, that liberals have to own the fact that they have annoyed the American electorate into fascism, right? Because they're such whiny little buzzkills that we would accept fascism before we're going to deal with them anymore, right? Same people who were telling you the Sydney Sweeney ad is Nazi propaganda and all of that stuff. We are living in fundamentally different realities, but in one reality, this country and the West have been flooded, inundated with cultures that are completely incompatible with our own. Okay? So if the choice is between, and you've heard me say it before, and where did I get the quote? Abraham Lincoln, the Constitution is not a suicide pact. You understand? Now, again, I'm still waiting for a lot of guys to to actually back up their assertion that any of this is contrary to the Constitution. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It gets run up the flagpole. The Supreme Court comes back and says, yeah, that's totally constitutional. And what's the next step? Well, that means the Supreme Court's fascist too. We're done. We're done. This is how it happened in Germany. That part of the historical parallel, absolutely correct. That's exactly how it happened in Germany. The left during the Weimar Republic, the cultural degeneracy that preceded that rise to power is what brought that on. It got pushed so far, so hard, so fast that people finally said enough. So is there a very real danger that could ascend to fascism? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something you better be watching closely. But if you think we can just go on the way that we've been going, I will tell you on a personal level, right? On a personal level, you can feel about this however you want. I don't care. If the choice is between fascism or the death of Western civilization, somebody find me a brown shirt. I said what I said. I said what I said. If we go, Western civilization goes. If Western civilization goes, fate of the world goes with it. I am just that committed to the premise. I am absolutely committed to that premise. So we can have the debate about what is or isn't. Right now, he's stepping up and doing what is necessary. And here's the thing. The people on the ground in DC, they love him for it. The people who are actually living there, they love him for it. All of the journalists that live in Washington, D.C., that are whining and crying about what a terrible thing it is, secretly love him for it because they got to live with that filth too. Why do you think when white college educated liberals go busting into these blue dog Democrat cities, why do you think they get nothing but derision? Because they're coming in with their elevated, virtuous, compassionate social programs, all that. Yeah. Defund the police. Try living in those neighborhoods. Try living in those neighborhoods. You people are completely out of touch. You don't understand what's really going on. You don't understand that it is your so called compassion that took us to the brink of complete collapse in the first place. That every problem that is happening in the black community right now is all because of white college educated liberals. The welfare state that put the state in instead of fathers into these houses, that's all white liberal. The wide open border, the compassionate embrace, and all the things that are coming along with it. Take a look at the statistics on illegal immigrants and crime. Take a look, and we're not just talking about the anecdotal stuff, right? Weimar Republic. I'm sorry. Weimar Republic, wrong. Right. Okay. What is that? So is Tulsi. So is Tulsi what, George? I'm sorry. I'm on a rant and I totally missed it. In any case, we have arrived at this point. We have arrived at this point because of y'all's work. Do you know why California is a festering shit sore right now? Do you know why Detroit, Chicago, Houston, Portland, Seattle? Do you want to know why those cities fell into decay so fast? Because y'all kept doubling down. There is a woman who lives in Portland. Somebody, Roman, if you got a chance, can you, because unlike Joe Rogan, I don't have it. Jamie, can you pull that up? There is a woman in Portland right now, a black woman, no less, who, let me give you a brief background. The rallying of these white college educated Antifa maggots outside of the federal courthouse downtown Portland, she has to live down there. She's disabled. So we're talking about a disabled black woman. Under any other conditions, leftists would love her to death. But you see, she doesn't like those Antifa maggots making noise at all hours, banging on drums at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's disabled. She still has to work. She's trying to get her sleep. So she went down and complained to them personally, told them to knock it off. And of course, they said everything short of the N word. Ran her ass off. Told her she was working for white supremacists. I'm not making this up. You can Google it. Told her she was working for the interests of white supremacy by telling them to knock off the noise. So she sued the city of Portland. Portland police refused to respond over the noise ordinance, right? She sued the city of Portland, lost her case. Portland judge said, nope, police aren't required. Police aren't required to come out and enforce it. And now that the Antifa maggots know that there's no consequence, they've been coming up and they've been knocking on her door. They're making her life a living hell because that's how compassionate they are. That's how they're fighting fascism. I guarantee you, if you asked that black woman, disabled black woman, would you be willing to support fascism if it ran these maggots out? She'd tell you yes. You guys don't want fascism? Maybe stop doubling down on policies that are causing misery to so many people. Maybe finally be able to admit that you're wrong. Maybe finally be able to admit that no, all cultures are not created equal. Maybe finally be able to admit that some cultures are completely incompatible with the West and have no place here. Maybe finally be able to admit that the real war on women isn't coming from, say, Republican politicians that want to make your abortion process more difficult, but maybe maggots from third world countries that would gang rape you. But no, 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 no. Intersectionality. We went to college. We know more than you. Must be nice. Must be nice living in that lofty place. Must be nice living with that lofty intellect. I hope it serves you well when that swarthy, brown skinned person that you welcomed into the country drags you behind a dumpster. I'm not even going to finish that. Maybe then you'll go, hey, maybe I should rethink this. But in all likelihood, no, you won't. You won't. You'll find some way to blame the patriarchy. You'll find some way to blame white Christian males. You'll find some way to blame Trump. It's sad. I pray for y'all. I really do. Right? Yeah, nothing. Exactly, Ryan. Exactly. And they never learn. They never learn. Dennis, I'm glad you made it out. Hey, dude, don't worry about being late. I'm just happy you made it out. In Europe, all the things that y'all are worried about, okay? All the things that y'all are so freaking worried about, all these fantasies you have about creeping fascism. Maybe rethink it, take a look at it. Maybe rethink it, take a look at it, and understand that what you are taking for fascism is merely Western civilization finding its soul again. That maybe the people who are gaslighting you into thinking that Orange Man is somehow Mango Mussolini maybe have a vested interest in seeing Western civilization fall, and that you have been a dupe. But again, that requires reflection, and that requires admitting that one could be wrong. Sonny, I am so glad you made it out. St. Bartholomew Day. I was not aware that it was St. Bartholomew Day. I wish I had that picture that in my stash over here that I could pull up. There are statues, particularly in the Czech Republic, because the Czechs, man. But there's a statue of St. Bartholomew cradling his own skin. Yeah, when they martyred him, he was the the tale goes that they skinned him alive, and he stood cradling his own skin and continued to preach Christ until they chopped off his head. That is impressive. That is impressive. I'm thinking, you know, I'm trying to imagine Pinhead, you know what I mean, from Hellraiser, right? I'm trying to imagine him like just sort of walking out of the shadows and like, we have such sights and he looks over and here's a guy standing skinned, like cradling his own skin and preaching the gospel. I think even Pinhead at that moment would just have to be like, go in peace, and just sort of saunter off into the shadows, chains rattling. Anyway, my brain is a weird place. This is the thing, people. He's doing what's got to be done. And the thing is, it's working. That's the scary part. He's proving that everything that we have been gaslit with is a lie. Many of you who voted for Kamala, or at the very least didn't vote because, um, uh, you know, whatever. Many of you believed it, bought it, hook, line, and sinker. We can't close the border. It's too complex. We need bipartisan support. We need this. We need that. And now you know you were wrong. I understand. It hurts, man. Coming to grips with that has got to be something. Kind of bouncing all over the place here. But yeah, your compassion. I'm sorry. Martyred in modern day Baku, Azerbaijan. Have memories from that place. You know, I should I should mark that down. I want to visit. I want to visit. I want to visit a lot of the old con block countries, starting from like Eastern Europe on over. And I'll tell you something, Ryan. I'm going to bounce this off of you. Something came my way. Um, there are companies right now that are recruiting crane operators with passports because when this war comes to an end, and it's about to, when this whole thing comes winded down, they are going to need people overseas to rebuild. So, in the same way that KBR got a lot of no bid contracts for Americans to go over and rebuild Iraq after the war, it looks like there's going to be some money getting pushed out by government contract to go and rebuild Ukraine once this is all over with. And I got to tell you, I am not in any way ideologically or financially opposed to a tax-free year overseas in that part of the world. Yeah, Don Court. Yeah, they've already got. I've already got a call for Ukraine and one for Australia. Well, cool, man, cool. I've got. Oh, Dennis, always with the pun. Always with Dennis. I'm gonna strangle you, man. You could be a Ukraine operator. There we go. Ukraine, my crane. All right. What is that? With all the things that I agree with from the Orange Menace, his Israel stance, I can't swallow even if I tried. No, no, no. Nor can I. Nor can I. You know. Um. But again, we have the ability to look at it across the board. You know, we don't run like the left does. That orthodoxy where it's we have we either agree 100% or we're out. You know, no, man. I hate his stance on Israel. Absolutely despise his stance on Israel. Can't stand it. He's way too comfortable with Netanyahu. I don't dig it. Having said that, my stance on the whole situation over there is everything that Israel is doing, right, by any reasonable definition, is a genocide. Okay? Let's just go ahead and throw that out there. By any reasonable or legal definition, what Israel is doing is a genocide. Having said that, I really don't care. Sorry to upset anybody's delicate sensibilities. If they were committing a genocide against people who hadn't sworn to kill me, I'd probably be upset about that, right? But let's face facts, people. This is Hamas is Palestine, okay? Hamas is the Gazans. Hamas is the Palestinians. They freely elected these people, right? You remember back during the first and the second Gulf War, where all the liberals were talking about that we deserve to be hated. You know, we're all like, why do they hate us? Why do they hate us? Like after 9/11, we could have loved it. Why do they hate us? Why do they hate us? And what did the liberals tell us then? What did the liberals tell us then? They hate us because the people we voted for are doing horrible things, and there's like a payback. How does the standard not apply? They elected Hamas. They elected Hamas. They continue to support Hamas, right? And you can't get rid of You you can't pull Hamas out of Gaza. You can't pull Hamas. There is a reason why none of the other Arab world nations will accept these people as refugees. Did you see a couple of them got unloaded here in the United States? Boy, the State Department shut that down, but quick. Google what happened this week. Somehow or other, I think it was like a single digits group of refugees from Gaza made it here. And Rubio was like, no, 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 no. That is not going to happen. Nobody wants them. Why? You know why. Does that make it okay what Israel's doing? Not by a damn sight. Not by a damn sight. What they're doing is unconscionable. That's one of those aren't enough FUs to go around. Okay. Again, I'm way off topic. Fortunately for, let's see, James. Fortunately, Chief, for critical thinkers, he can be right on one thing and wrong on another. Yep, logical ability to think based on one issue. Time is liberating. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And Ryan, cool. Then how about stop helping Israel and let God sort it out? Yeah, right. No, and again, completely agree with you on that Israel stance. Okay, but it is possible for me to say, yeah, dude, he's screwing things up. He's totally screwing things up on the Israel front and totally 100% right on the deportations. Totally 100% right on the border. 100%. Back that play. 110%. Actions, right? As regards things that happen here in the United States, boy, he rolled the National Guard and oh my God, he's putting the army in our cities. Is he? Is that what's really going on here? Is that what's really going on here? When they see the results, and this is the thing, when they see the results that are going on in Washington, D.C., there are already cities that are asking, here next, please. Here next, please. When people are living under so-called leadership. Oh, brother, Ryan, you already know, man. You already know. Um, One could say Brits maintain control to some degree over current U.S. Yes, again, whole lot of nuance, whole lot going on. What he's doing, what he's doing in Washington D.C., there is nothing outside of the Constitution that's going on there. Nothing. The people that started screaming Constitution, Constitution, that's one of those moments where I'm like, yeah, tell me you've never read the document without telling me you've never read the document. DC is under federal control, always has been. We abdicated that briefly in the 1970s, and they sort of let it run as its own thing for a while. But there is nothing unconstitutional about what's going on there. Sorry to disappoint you, Matt Out crowd. Sorry to disappoint you. Feel good, Fanny. Sorry to disappoint you, Pollyanna. There are some unpleasant things going on. Why would any of that even be necessary? Oh, wow. Could have something to do with the fact that we've got leftist DAs that are refusing to prosecute crime. Y'all let it get to this point. We begged you. We begged you. Put criminals in jail. And all we heard from y'all was equity based sentencing, reallocate police funds, all of this nonsense. And year after year after year, more people got hurt, more women got raped. I keep bringing that home because for some reason, white liberal women see everything as a threat to women except the things that are legitimate threats to women. More women got raped. More people got murdered. More people died of fentanyl overdoses. Y'all insisted. You had it under control. We begged. We pleaded. Let me explain something to you. For the concern about creeping fascism, and I've been watching this dialogue go on in the Twitter sphere. Gen Z men, a lot of them, don't think that Trump is going far enough. They think he's not extreme enough. I want you to roll that around your head for a minute. For years, we begged, look, man, at least put the actual criminals in jail. Look, man, at least put some controls on the border. Look, man, at least vet some of the people that you were bringing into the country since 1965. Y'all wouldn't have it. You were smarter than us. You knew better than us. You were morally better than us. You were elevated in your consciousness. You knew so much better than us. You had such lofty spiritual goals. You were so damn compassionate. Better people than us with our standards and our patriarchy driven goals and our faith based ideologies. Filthy rabble. They don't have a degree like me. Y'all brought this on yourselves. Now you can reap it. We have somebody in here who is taking necessary steps. When he toes up to the line and crosses over that constitutional threshold, I'll be more than willing to revisit this conversation. We can have this discussion again. But in the meantime, between time, I can tell you that the citizens of Washington, D.C. are sleeping a hell of a lot better tonight than they were before this thing kicked off. I can tell you that at least 10 people didn't get killed this week that would have ordinarily. These things have become necessary. So when you make them necessary, don't cry when people do the necessary things in response. Don't do it. How does a man like Hitler come to power? A man like Hitler comes to power when regular people say, hey man, could we stop now? And y'all go, no. How does Hitler come to power? Hitler comes to power when regular people go, could you at least leave the kids out of it? And y'all go, no. How does Hitler come to power? Hitler comes to power when regular people say, hey man, could we at least have some control over who's coming into the country? And y'all say, no. No, and you're a bigot for suggesting it. Y'all brought this on yourselves. So now you get to reap it, along with the rest of us. Not my circus, not my monkeys, and certainly not my problem. When he crosses that constitutional threshold, then we can revisit. Y'all keep doubling down on scumbags, nothing's going to happen here. One of the posts that I made to Facebook earlier this week, another fat, useless Mexican in an ice raid, and they grabbed him. He tried to run from him. They snatched him. He took him down hard, and he started wailing like a little girl. Ah, Dios mío, I've done nothing. I've done nothing. They had a translation running under his subtitle. I've done nothing. I want to be with my family. I want to be with my family. Don't take me away from my family. I've done nothing. I've done nothing. And it was all over MSNBC and all the white liberal women with the tears. Oh, it's so inhumane. How can they treat people like this? And then you dig a little deeper and find out the guy sexually abused a 13-year-old girl. Oh, but that's just an isolated incident. Get bent. We're done. We're done engaging. Come back and have this discussion with me when it actually looks like Handmaid's Tale. Come back and have this discussion with me when it actually hits U.S. citizens. Come back and talk to me about the weaponization of the Justice Department with Bolton's home getting raided and deep state people getting their houses treated. I watched y'all sit there with your mouth shut, zippered for 4 years, while pro-life activists got dragged out of their homes at 6 o'clock in the morning with machine guns in their faces. I watched y'all laugh and cheer when a SWAT team hit Roger Stone's place from both sides, and somebody had tipped off CNN, so the cameras were rolling for the whole thing. And y'all laughed. You thought it was funny. Dudes with automatic weapons on Roger Stone's boat dock, treating it like they were actually taking down MS-13. Machine guns waving all over. Y'all thought that was funny. Thought it was funny when Bannon got let out with the waist shackles and the leg irons. Y'all thought that was funny. Now it's coming back and y'all want to cry. Spare me. I don't care. I don't care. Maybe this is less of a sermon than it is a confession. Because just like you brought up the Israel thing, man, what Trump is doing with Israel, that I actually care about, because that's my tax money. That's foreign policy entanglements that we don't need to be involved in. That I care about. What Israel is actually doing to Gaza, don't care. Don't care. John Bolton's home got raided. Yeah. God, that reminded me, man. I was thinking, some really important political guy's home getting raided, and what was it? Someplace in Florida, Mars Hill, Mars Bar, Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, who was it that? Yeah, tell me all about it. For 4 years, you said nothing. You watched all of the show trials. You watched all of it. You watched them try to get 25 states try to get a man removed from the ballot. So don't talk to me about all your concerns about the Constitution, man. Spare me. That talk is done. He has yet to step over a constitutional line. And unlike you, Pollyanna, I've actually read the damn document. He has yet to have stepped over a constitutional line. They keep running it up the flagpole, and the Supreme Court keeps saying the same thing. He has yet to cross a constitutional line. Unless and until, I don't care. I don't care. Do I like what he's doing with Israel? Absolutely not. Hate it. But I dig what he's got going on in D.C. I dig what he's got going on at the border. I dig what he's got going on with ICE and mass deportations. I dig the fact that the man has ended 9 wars. Hold up. Damn it. 7, excuse me, that y'all hadn't even heard about. Sonny, you want to tell him what's going on in Azerbaijan right now? You want to tell him, since we brought that up, Azerbaijan? That's one of the places where he stopped the war. He stopped the war between Cambodia and Thailand. Yep. Stopped the war over in Uganda. There were 2 in Africa. One of them was Uganda. And I had the note right here. Victor Davis Hanson went over it. And by the way, if you guys aren't following Victor Davis Hanson, you should be. 7 different international conflicts that man has ended in places you've never heard of, that the media never told you was going on. But spooky. Mango Mussolini. Sweet potato Hitler. What a joke. What a joke you people are. I meant to be a little more humorous about this. I really did. I think during the opener, I kept my sense of humor about it. But I'm really kind of past it, man. I'm really kind of past it. You guys pontificating about this sanctimonious nonsense about your moral upstanding virtue and your compassion. Your compassion has been getting people raped and killed for far too long. If you don't mind me saying. Something about kids being surgically butchered. Pardon me if y'all find that as being gender affirming health care, maybe shakes my idea of what y'all consider compassion. Pardon me for rolling that around in my head and not exactly the math ain't mathing. Don't tell me about compassion, man. You want compassion? You want compassion, Pollyanna? Let's go back to what we had. Let's go back to what we had in the opener. All right? This is 2020 before that influx of so-called refugees. That's in the year 2000. England and Wales, we're looking at 8,000 rapes. Germany, 8,000 rapes. France, 7,500. Poland, 2,300. Every one of those countries except Poland opened their borders to Africa and the Middle East. Tell me again about the war on women. Tell me again about how compassionate you are. I think it's time that we finally say, I don't give a damn about what your idea of compassion is. I don't care about methods. I care about results. All these refugees that you're crying about, all these immigrants that you're crying about. Take a look at that. England and Wales, 68,000. That's 68,000 of those wonderful, upstanding, third world, incompatible maggots that you're being compassionate towards. That's your idea of compassion? 68,000 women getting raped. Germany, 39,000 getting raped. France, 42,000 getting raped. That's your idea of compassion? You can keep it. Y'all made this happen. With your so-called compassion, y'all made this happen. We told you from day one. When it first started ratcheting up, we told you. And you called us bigots. When we saw that it was getting out of trouble, we begged and pleaded with you, and you called us xenophobes. Screw your compassion. We're done. Because your idea of compassion is costing too many lives. And I'm going to tell you this. And guys, and listen, and I know, you guys are my brothers. You've known me forever. You've known my small L libertarian leanings. You know I'm Ron Paul guy from 2012. You know that I don't let go of the idea of constitutional constraints easily. So when I say this, you better know where it's coming from. We have been put in a very, very untenable position. I wish that we were not here, but we are. Chief, I've spent years having compassion for victims, but the people who commit the atrocities don't get to claim victimhood. Absolutely. And by the way, for you guys that don't know Chief, top dog LEO, top dog law enforcement officer. Okay, yep, and I'll field that one too. There's another one. Epstein files don't exist. Yep, dude, I'm with you on that. The optics of that are horrible. Release the damn files. Absolutely release the damn files. But you know what? In the meantime, keep doing what you're doing on the border, son. That's the thing. It's like there's no. It does. It doesn't have to be, and it can't be one or the other. We don't work like that. That's the leftist nonsense. You're either 100% down with the program or you're 100% apostate. We don't work like that. I'd scream at him to release the damn Epstein files. But in the meantime, how about we keep those National Guard guys in D.C.? Go ahead and beef that program up. Send them to Chicago. Send them to Portland. Give them a taste of some medicine. Because what you have to understand is that you're not dealing with human beings. You're not dealing with human beings. You're dealing with dogs walking upright. Particularly the ones who are coming from these other cultures. Let me pull that face up again just so we don't forget it. This gentleman right here, you understand that where he comes from, that kind of death is like a daily occurrence. That culturally, that's really not a big deal. Take a look at the videos from over there, man. Hundreds of them riding the tops of trains every day. Just crawling up on top of the train. Somebody falls off and gets killed every day. Fatal automobile accidents every day. Did you see the look on his face when they were pulling the bodies out? He was watching them pull the bodies out of that car, and he had a look on his face like he was watching somebody change their motor oil. Completely remorseless. Where'd he go? Straight to California. Why? Because on Planet Biden, there wouldn't be any consequences. You see, he's a migrant from a third world country, and he fled to California, which is a sanctuary state. Ollie Ollie Oxenfree. Florida said nope. DeSantis sent a private jet to drag his ass back to stand trial. I'm going to tell you something. If Biden would have been in office, they'd have done everything they can to insulate him. How do I know? Because of what they did for Abrego Garcia. Maryland father. You compassion guys keep doubling down on scumbags. You keep doubling down on scumbags. Wasn't enough that you had a guy who was a member of MS-13, who had been adjudicated so, who was bound for freaking deportation, gets deported. After he gets deported, you guys start singing his praises. You demand that he gets brought back, bring him back. And in the interim, we found out that he was a human trafficker and a multiple domestic violence offender. Again, ladies, war on women. Everything's a threat to women except the scumbags that are beating up women. What is wrong with you? What in your head makes you feel this way? That you can recognize everything is a threat, except for what's actually a threat. Right? Biggs Junction, 4 Indians. Right? It's a 4 truck stop with 2 lights. Right? Yep, I've been to Biggs Junction, man. Right? There we go. Joe, and first of all, hi, Joey. Didn't see you show up. For him, that was a little more than the inconvenience of a flat tire. Yes, absolutely. Saw it firsthand when I was abroad. Everybody who's been abroad has seen it. Everyone. White, college-educated liberals, particularly white, college-educated liberal women. I beseech you, I implore you, take 30 minutes out of the next week and open your mind to the possibility, just the possibility, that you could have been wrong, misinformed, or acting on emotion rather than rationale and intellect. Ponder that. Just take 30 minutes out of next week. I beg you. Please. Concern for women? Bet your ass we're concerned for women. We are tired of seeing our women raped and killed. We're tired of seeing women from other nations dragged into this one to be sold into sex trafficking. I know it's a tough one, ladies. I know it's a tough one. But don't be so fixated on the abortion thing that you begin to act as if that were the sum total of threats to women. Okay? Because let me tell you something. Let's go back. Let's go back since it's here. Let's go back. Um, that 60,000 difference in rapes there in England and Wales, 8,000 to 68,000. That 60,000, those weren't Republicans. Those weren't white cisgendered men. England and Wales already had plenty of those. Back to Trump. He's doing what is necessary. And in the process, he has proven that everything that we've been told, not just for the past 4 years, probably for the prior 20 and maybe even longer, has been a lie. We can't fix crime in a city? Yes, we can. Oh, absolutely, we can. We just have to be willing to do some things that are going to make a hell of a lot of people uncomfortable. We can't close the border. We can't stop all that human trafficking. We can't stop all that fentanyl. We can't control immigration. Really? Yes, we can. You just got to be willing to do some things that are going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. Yeah, but you got 20 million illegals already in the country. You can't just run them all out. Yes, you can. You've just got to be willing to do some things that are going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. So, how about instead of saying what you want us to believe, how about say what you really mean? Don't tell me we can't shut down the border. Tell me you don't want the border shut down. Don't tell me we can't mass deport 20 million illegals. Tell me you don't want them to. Because then you've got to ask yourself the question, why? You don't have the answer for that. Every answer you have is based completely on emotion, zero fact. And I'll tell you the God's truth, we've had quite enough. We've had quite enough. We're done. I'm only going to touch on these other bullet points briefly because they kind of relate. This is the thing about your ideology being driven by emotion versus your ideology being driven over fact. They did a poll that was released recently. It was a Gallup poll. Gallup poll. Anyway, wow. What they found was that only 36% of Democrats say that they're extremely or very proud to be an American. 36% of Democrats said that they were extremely or very proud to be an American. The top of the poll, they said American pride slips to new low. Again, part of the propaganda, part of the gaslighting. Because among Republicans, it didn't change. The time period was between 2001 and 2025, right? Being proud to be an American among Republicans in that entire period, in that entire period, extremely proud, very proud, moderately proud, a little proud, or not at all proud. Those were the options. Among Republicans, being proud to be an American never dropped in that entire 20-year period, never dropped lower than 87. No matter who was president, no matter who was president, Republicans were extremely or very proud to be an American. That number, no matter 25 years, no matter who was president, never dropped below 87, and for most of it was well over 90. No matter who was president, no matter who ran the White House, no matter who was in charge of Congress. Democrats, 2001, 87% were proud to be an American. And then you can watch the graph. You guys can look up the story in your Gallup poll, proud to be an American. You guys can find it on your own. You got that candy bar in your pocket. You got the same information that I do. Ready access to it right there. Boom. 2001, it was 87%. 2025, it's 36%. The only time it ever spikes is when their side's in charge. So don't tell me that what they're doing has anything to do with anything but emotion. They are not about this nation. And therefore, they are not about the West. You guys feel me? They're not about the West. They could give a damn about any of that. It's all about their feelings versus what's going on. 36% say that they're extremely proud or moderately proud to be an American now. It bounced up briefly. In 2020. It's on a steady decline. Took a hard dip right after 2016. Big old hard dip right after 2016, and then bounced right back up again in 2020 because old Scranton Joe was going to fix everything. The minute Trump got reelected, bam, right back to 36%. You are not dealing with rational people. You are dealing with people who are party over principle, who are totally driven by emotion. I need to pull my studies together for next week so I can go into this a little bit better. There's a happiness gap. This was highlighted recently on a Victor Davis Hanson show. People on the left are miserable. Absolutely miserable. Liberal women are unhappy and lonely. The science is in now. Jonathan Haidt has been doing this work forever. We can tell just by watching the TikTok verse and the Twitter verse that it's a bad thing. I'll have these stats together for you next week and we'll revisit it. These people have no purpose. And so they have made statism their religion. People like that cannot be trusted with the future of a civilization. Do you understand that? They can't be trusted with the future of a civilization. Let me say that one more time. For those of you in the back, I'll say it a little bit louder. They cannot be trusted with the future of a civilization. They have proven themselves incapable of handling such things. They have taken us to the brink of complete collapse. There is such a thing as suicidal empathy. There is such a thing as self destructive compassion. The beauty of it is, those people tell me that in order to be a good Christian, I have to embrace suicidal empathy. Should I pull you up the actual scriptures behind the threats of foreigners in your land? Do I really need to pull that out? Really going to do that math? If you're wondering what set off my post earlier this week, that was it. Adolescents in a clique. Let's hear it. Dealing with adolescents in a clique. Democrats are the party of mean girls. Nope, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Don't forget about the monks in the street holding Trump's picture in support of the Thai president, wanting Trump to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Again, man. Again. The man is a force of freaking nature. Even when he does things that make me want to strangle him. Getting behind Israel, for instance. Doing the peekaboo, here's the Epstein files, no, they're not thing. Even when he's doing things that make me want to strangle him, you cannot argue with results. There has never been a president like this man, and in all likelihood, there never will be again. Love him or hate him, I really don't care. You had 70,000 Buddhist monks break their vow of silence to nominate the man for a Nobel Peace Prize. But we're just stupid and he's just Hitler. 70,000 Cambodian monks broke their vow of silence to nominate the man for a Nobel Peace Prize. But he's categorically dumb, incompetent, financially irresponsible, incapable of leading a nation. He is going to drag us into war. He is going to set off a trade war. He is going to do this. He is going to do that. At what point do you guys finally admit that you're wrong? But I don't want to make this about Trump. This is about doing what's necessary. This is about doing what is necessary regardless of what your emotions are telling you are the proper freaking response. Because clearly your emotions have misled you to the point of your own self-demise. Your emotions, based on the numbers and these polls, can't be trusted to run a household based on your emotion. And yet you think you are the final arbiter of how to run a country? You're lucky they leave you alone with kids based on what your emotions tell you. So spare me your insight on how to save a civilization, let alone run a functioning democracy. We can have that discussion when you can get your own head together, put down that bottle of SSRIs and still be able to get through your day. Then come and have that conversation with me. Until then, I'll thank you to sit off in your corner, keep your mouth shut while the grown-ups in the room do what is necessary. I am the Reverend, and that is the gospel. Whew. Ugh. On a bit of a tear tonight, man. On a bit of a tear. Let me close with some good news and a prayer. I'm out here in West Texas. I'm back on the wind farm. Life is good, man. Life is good. I just want to get that out there. And one thing that I do want to reflect on before we get out of here is that this week is, of course, the anniversary of the start of the federal siege at Ruby Ridge. You guys that saw my post, let me just get away from domestic politics for a minute and get down to something here, okay? You think that I'm a bad person all you want. I don't care. If I need another friend, I'll feed a stray freaking dog. Do you understand me? So spare me. I don't need your thought about how I fall on your moral virtue spectrum. I don't care. Ruby Ridge. You guys are familiar with that. That was my pre-red pill event. I was very tangentially familiar with Ruby Ridge before the Waco thing happened. Waco was my red pill awakening, and you guys have heard that story. And I'm not going to rehash it with you. Ruby Ridge was one of the greatest atrocities that was perpetrated on the American public. If we want to tie it back into what I was talking about earlier, the same people saying that Orange Man is Hitler couldn't be bothered when federal agents machine gunned a 13-year-old boy and shot a mother between her eyes while she was nursing a 6-month-old infant. You know, that's no harm, no foul because, ooh, bad wrong think. But, sweet potato Hitler is whatever. I don't want to dredge this up again. I meant what I said in that post. Absolutely meant what I said at that post. Sarah is my friend. Sarah, in a lot of ways, has been my default guardian angel for years because I've been in awe, absolute awe, of that woman and her faith and what she is able to forgive. For her to find forgiveness and peace after living through that is a level of faith that I can scarcely even contemplate. And it was exemplary for me. For years, I knew her, I admired her faith. For years before I came back to the faith, I was in awe of the way that she has carried herself through that. I meant what I said. I want to make sure we all remember, okay? I want to make sure that we all remember what happened. Never lose sight of that. Never lose sight, particularly because these same people that are calling Trump Hitler were the same ones that demanded action against right-wing extremists, okay? Understand that whenever these people and their emotion driven nonsense is handed the reins of power, they turn it against people who don't think like them. Okay? That's what they do. That is their modus operandi. And we never, never can afford to lose sight of that. Okay? But I don't want to drag up the whole we got to take them down and all that. It's it's performative at this point for a lot of people. Okay? I watch people thump their chest about it all the time. The Boogaloo crowd with their Hawaiian shirts and all that nonsense. I can't wait to take it to the Fed, man. We're going to fight them in the streets, bro. With your $2,000 AR and your $1,500 optic and your 50 cents worth of shooting skills. Yeah, dude, you're working on your patriot bona fides and all that. I get it. Let the anger go, bro. Let it go. Because I'm going to tell you something. The woman that I know, it happened to her. And she's still able to find peace. So, all your big dramatic flourish about never forgive, never forget, we're going to take it to the man. You know what, man? Maybe one day, God forbid, maybe one day we'll get there. I hope not. But spare me the sanctimony on that, please. Because the woman I know was standing in the room several feet away when Lon Horiuchi put that 308 round through her mother's head. The woman that I know got to walk out to a woodshed and look at her brother, who was also her best friend, living the way they did way out in North Idaho, up in the mountains. She got to walk out to a woodshed and see her little brother damn near cut in half. And you know what? She found peace. She found forgiveness. I can't even contemplate that, but I stand in awe of it. I'll tell you that. I'll stand in awe of that. So for us to be out here thumping our chest about, yeah, bro, never let it go, dude. How about just a little perspective check, okay? Definitely never forget. But the performative nonsense of how down you are, spare me, bro. Just spare me. If it actually inspires you to be a better person, actually inspires you to improve yourself, improve your life, ponder things like your own family, your own walk with God, your own trust or distrust of whatever, right? But just making noise about it for the sake of making noise about it, we get it. Okay? We get it. Try to find some peace, man. Try to find some freaking peace. If you're out there just looking for reasons, you out there just looking for reasons to rage, there's plenty of them, man. Try to find some peace. Try to follow her example. That's all I got. I'm going to close with prayer. God, we're running a dangerous time right now, and a whole lot of things are up in the air. I wish to do the work of your kingdom, Lord. I wish to save. I wish to say what I feel is your highest expression on this planet, Lord, and that is the West. I've already read the book. Wherever we find ourselves on the spectrum of good versus evil, Lord, help me to have the clarity and discernment to stand with the good. I feel like I'm in the right, but nothing is more deceptive than the human heart, Lord. That's why I try to keep my face in some scripture, at least one chapter a night, to be able to put that away, to try to establish that clarity and that discernment, Lord. More importantly, let me leave my heart open. Let me leave my mind open for you. Let me leave my heart open for the Holy Spirit. I ask for that clarity and discernment in this hour, Lord, because there's never been a more confusing time. Never been a time where things are more up in the air, Lord. It's hard to know from minute to minute sometimes where to stand. Times change, your word doesn't. Times change, your grace doesn't. Thankfully, your grace doesn't. There are a lot of people out there struggling, Lord. I hope that they come to the light of your truth. I hope that they can truly know that peace. I hope that they can truly know that peace that passes all understanding, Lord. Sometimes I'm not the best example, but I'm in it, Lord. I'm in it, and I'm trying to walk it with everything that I am. Help me, Lord, that my words would touch someone to make them reflect, that they would come to the light of your truth, Lord. And if it is to be a fight, and we know the fight is coming, just like Ezekiel, Lord, send me into that valley of dry bones and let me raise you up an army. Let me use this gift that you've given me for the strength of the kingdom, for the glory of your name. I pray in the name of the risen Christ, scourged, tortured, and murdered on that cross to buy redemption for what could not be redeemed, Lord. And I stand in gratitude and humility before that beautiful gift that you've given us, Lord. I hope that all men could come to know it. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. I love y'all, man. Thanks for being here. As you can see, I'm in a new spot on a nice little extended stay in a little West Texas town that you've probably never heard of, that's named after a cow. Yeah, it's Hereford. Yeah, I'm here in Hereford, Texas. I'm out here in Hereford, Texas, meat capital of the world. And hopefully next Sunday I will have the full day to run and check out one of the local meat markets, and life will be good. In the meantime, we're just kind of getting settled in. Today, I had to move from another little town called Muleshoe. I was just down the road and I found this spot, and I've got like about 3 times the space and actual refrigerator and stove and stuff. So it's kind of cool to have. I'm digging it. Anyway, man, hopefully something. Hopefully this did something for you. Open your eyes, made you reflect, turned you onto something you might have been unaware of before. Hopefully, maybe it's just an old toothless bat crippled crane operator ranting and raving, but you guys knew what you signed up for. I'm going to pass around a digital collection plate. You guys know the drill. If you're talking about earlier, if you want to kick down, that's cool. If not, man, I totally get it. Not everybody can, and not everybody wants to, and that's totally all right. As I said, I'm out here working, dude. We're going to go out with some Clutch. Again, one of the other great contributions that Brother Ryan has made to this show was suggesting this as the outro music way back in 2020. That's right, man. We're still using it. The coolest version of Fortunate Son that has ever been recorded. You might not agree with that, and you're entitled to be wrong. How about that? Anyway, I'm going to pass around the digital collection plate, fellas. You guys want to kick down? That's totally cool. I get it. If not, here's what you can do for me. Share it on your social media feed. Say, hey, man, the Rev, he's kind of crazy, but he's a kindred spirit. He likes to rant and rave every Sunday night for a couple hours. Hopefully you get something out of it. Turn your friends onto the program. Only do it for friends that you're willing to lose, though, because I might not be their cup of tea. And also, here's what you can do for me, guys. If you want to do anything, not just for me, but for yourselves. Stone, I know you're here, brother. If you're here, what are we going to tell them? Live the 3, baby. That's right. Live the 3. Hashtag live the 3. Live the 3. What the hell is he talking about? Talking about the 3 prime directives. The 3 prime directives. What kind of weird cult stuff is going on here? It's rules to live by, man, here on Planet Bart. Rule number 1, you got to be the signal in a world full of noise. They'll try to smother you with the noise, man. The noise is all the distractions, all the lies, all the deceptions, all the emotion-driven stuff. Man, I don't care how you feel about it. I care what the truth is. The truth has got to be that signal that punches through the noise, man. And you got to be the one to carry that signal and drive it through the noise. Rule number 2, you got to be light in a world full of darkness. They'll try to bury you with the darkness, emasculate you, demoralize you, humanize you with the darkness. Make you think there's nothing left but the darkness. You have got to be the light. You got to be the light. You got to be able to carry the light. Which brings us to our third and final rule, the iron rule, the prime directive. You have got to be strength in a world full of weakness. Strength in a world full of weakness. And I'm not just talking about this kind of strength. This is good. It can't just be, it's not just here. It's not just here. It's got to be here, and yeah, even here. Why? Because without strength, none of the rest of it matters. Without strength, you're not going to be able to punch that signal through the noise. Without strength, you're not going to be able to carry that light through the darkness. You're not going to have the drive or the tenacity to carry that through the darkness without strength. So strength above all. And when you hit your knees every night, you need to be praying for that strength, but also pray for clarity and discernment, because the devil's out there, the deceiver's out there. He'll try to confuse you with the lies, man. Strength, clarity, and discernment always when you hit your knees to pray, and you better be hitting your knees to pray. You keep your ass under some iron and your face in some scripture, your life is going to be a better place. I promise you. God bless you all, man. Appreciate y'all being here. Peace. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Boss man's got the plan. Carpenter's got your back. Know that. God bless y'all, man. Love you. See you next Sunday.